All right, we'll go ahead and get started. It looks like the majority of the participants have joined. So welcome. My name is Andrea Estrada, and I will be facilitating the webinar today. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of UC San Diego's Parkinson and Other Movement Disorders Center to our Wellness, Rehabilitation, and Mindfulness webinar. Each month, we will have a virtual session on different topics related to Parkinsonism and living well. Our hope is that you will learn something new and find this information relevant and useful in your day-to-day lives. Today's 1-hour webinar will include a demonstration for mindfulness by Noriko Harth from UC San Diego's Center for Mindfulness, followed by rehabilitation exercises presented by Corey Troyer and Julie Larson from the Parkinson's and Other Movement Disorders Center at UC San Diego. A few things to note. This is the fifth of 6 educational presentations that our center will hold this year. Sessions will be recorded and available online at movementdisorders.ucsd.edu. Just give us maybe a few days to get those posted. This is also where you will find upcoming session details for our last program on December 1st with Dr. Irene Littman, our center's director, and Corey Troyer, who's on the call today once again. We are happy to share any links or resources shown during this presentation with you. We will also send a post-session survey for you to complete. Your feedback helps us plan future programs, and truly we appreciate the support. Lastly, there may not be time at the end for questions. However, you can email us at movementdisorders@ucsd.edu anytime. So thank you so much. Now we will welcome Noriko.
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so my name is Noriko Morita Hart. I'll be sharing some slides with you just to cover the definitions of what is mindfulness, and then I will guide you through a practice of mindfulness. Some of you may know this, the definition of mindfulness, and there are many definitions, as you can see. Mindfulness shows us what is happening in our bodies, our emotions, our minds, and in the world. Through mindfulness, we avoid harming ourselves and others. This is by Thich Nhat Hanh. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Jon Kabat-Zinn. And lastly, from John Brantley, mindfulness can be defined as careful, open-hearted, choiceless, present moment awareness. The second definition, the Jon Kabat-Zinn, he is the developer of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And this quote, his definition, makes me wonder, well, we can all pay attention, but what becomes challenging from time to time is non-judgmentally. When we pay attention to things, we unconsciously, without really noticing, we are assessing, is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? We often do that without even knowing it. So what we see, what we hear, what we feel, how can we allow things as they are, even if we don't like it? So the mindfulness means really allowing things as they are, even if it's difficult, even if it's a little bit challenging or uncomfortable, or you don't like it. And mindfulness practices involves 5 senses: sense of hearing, the taste, the touch, the smell, and sense of sight. And mindfulness practices can be done anytime, anywhere. You can do this practice formally or informally. So formal practice would be you take time, sit down, and do a mindfulness meditation practice, mindful eating, walking meditation, and body scan. Informal practice can be done um, any time of the day and anywhere. For example, how many of you enjoy a cup of coffee or cup of tea first thing in the morning? And you can make that time as a mindfulness practice. For example, you first maybe touch the cup, the warmth of the cup, really noticing the warmth of the cup, the sensations in the hands, and the smell, smell of the coffee, smell the tea. What do you notice as you smell it? Is this pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? And you have a sip of cup, coffee or tea and just notice the sensations in the body. And you can just take a few minutes to do a mindfulness practice just like this. Or I wonder how many of you like just watching the sunset or sunrise, or even taking a walk on the beach. Um, Any moment can be the mindfulness practice moment. So let's do a practice together. I'm gonna guide you through a short body scan practice, and you're welcome to lie down if that's available for you. You're welcome to stay seated, and I also invite you to close your eyes, either partially or fully. And if it's comfortable for you, bringing your full attention to the breath in the body. And let's take a few long and deep breaths. So deep breath in and deep breath out. And returning to the natural rhythm of breathing. And just continuing to breathe, feeling the sensations of the breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And now shifting your attention away from the breath and bringing the full focus on your feet. Noticing the toes, the heels, the size of the feet, the soles of the feet. Feeling the entire feet. Noticing what is present here. You might notice a subtle sensation, or maybe there are no sensations. You can simply notice that. An awareness of the ankles and the lower legs, the calves and the shins. Perhaps noticing the lower legs touching the clothing. Or maybe touching the floor if you're lying down. So, what do you notice in the lower legs in this moment? And as we pay attention to the body parts, sometimes we notice our mind wanders, perhaps mind wandering to a sound in in your environment, or sound, or a wandering mind to a particular thought about this practice. Or you might maybe wandering to sensations in the body. So when that happens, you can simply notice that your mind has wandered without judging, because that's what mind does. And see if you can bring your full attention back to the body. And now to the knees, noticing the kneecaps inside the knees, the back of the knees, and moving up to the thighs, the muscles, the bones, maybe the back of the thighs touching the chair or a floor. Noticing what is here in this moment. And as we go through the body parts, sometimes um, our memory might arise with certain body parts. And sometimes the difficult emotion might also arise associated with the body parts and the memories. So when that happens, you have a choice to stay with it, even if it's a little uncomfortable, or you have a choice to shift your attention away from the body part if the experience becomes overwhelming. You can shift your attention to the breath and just feel the breath, or perhaps bringing the full attention back to the soles of the feet. You can also open the eyes and adjust your posture. But if you feel safe enough to continue, bringing your full attention now to the buttock, the hips, and the pelvic area, or the organs in the pelvic region, and noticing what is here in this moment. You might notice some dull sensations, or there may be some sharp sensations. What else is present here? Now bringing your attention to the lower back. Some of us hold a lot of tension around the lower back. So bringing a kind and curious attention to the lower back and noticing what is present here. And awareness of the middle back and the upper back. And perhaps noticing the subtle sensations in the upper back as you breathe. Coming around to the front of the body, the belly, or the organs inside the abdomen. What do you notice here? We sometimes only pay attention when the strong sensations are present in the body. But our body is always here with us. So why not pay attention just because it's here? So bringing a curious and kind attention to the stomach area and the chest area, the lungs and the heart. The lungs and the heart breathing. And perhaps noticing the gentle rising and falling of the chest from breathing. And now shifting your attention to the fingers and the hands. You might notice the temperature in the hands, the coolness or the warmth, or maybe there is moisture or dryness present. Or you might notice the tingling sensations in the fingers or in the hands. Or there may not be any sensations here, and you can simply notice that. And awareness of the wrists, forearms, elbows, and the upper arms. Noticing the entire arms and what is present here. And now bringing a curious and kind attention to the shoulders, the back of the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the top, the sides, and the front. And some people hold a lot of tension in the shoulders. So, what is present here in this moment? Awareness of the base of the neck and the neck, the front, the sides, and the back, and inside the throat. What do you notice inside around the throat as you breathe or swallow? And your mind may be wandering again. No problem. Just simply noticing that your mind has wandered without judging, and bringing your full attention back to the body and back to the face, noticing the jaw, the chin, the cheekbones, the cheeks, and awareness of the lips, the mouth, inside the mouth, and noticing the nose, inside the nose, awareness of the eyes and areas around the eyes, eyelashes, eyeballs, eyelids, eyebrows, and also scanning the forehead from temple to temple, noticing the entire face, and awareness of the ears, the size of the head, and back of the head, perhaps pressing the floor if you're lying down, the hard surface that protects our brain, and top of the head, the crown of the head. Now bringing your attention from top of the head to all the way down to the toes. Just quickly scanning the entire body once again and returning to the toes. And returning to the breath. Feeling the breath as you breathe in and feeling the breath as you breathe out. Now expanding the awareness to the entire body. Noticing how your body is feeling in this moment. Also checking in with yourself, how you're feeling. And see if you can allow your experience to be just as is. And resting your attention with the breath in the body. And as you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. And you're also welcome to stretch or shift your posture, change your posture if you like. And also invite you to take a few moments to reflect on your experience, what you noticed during the practice. Also, what is present for you, in this moment. And I'm wondering if any of you uh, had, your mind wandered. I wonder if you noticed that the mind was wandering. Um, and this is very natural. Um, Wandering mind, that's our mind does. And there's actually a research done in 2010, uh, a researcher called Matthew Killingsworth and his colleagues. They developed an iPhone app to measure a wandering mind. And what they did was to ask over 2,000 volunteers to install this iPhone app in their iPhone. And what they did was the app sends out the messages, the questions throughout the day to the volunteers. The questions were, what are you doing? Are you aware of what you are doing? And how happy are you? And after the study, they found out that about 46.9% the time the people's mind was wandering. So let's say if you are 50 years old, so that's about, 46.9, that's about 50%. So if you're about 50 years old, your mind may have been wandering over like 25 years. And this happens to everyone. Um, and especially the mind wanders when a brain perceives the environment or the situation that there is no danger. So, for example, in this practice, the body scan, I assume that everybody must have felt pretty comfortable wherever you are. So when the brain perceives that there is no danger, our mind starts wandering. And when that happens, the brain structure called default mode network gets activated. And what it does is to scan the brain to look for things to worry or ruminate or anticipate or things to worry and fix problems. So I wonder how many of you have this experience of waking up middle of the night. That's what I often do. I still do. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I start thinking about things I need to do or things I did and I regret or I ruminate over and I can't sleep, because my mind starts wandering. Because in the middle of the night, I feel pretty comfortable in my bed. So that's what mind does. But the good thing is that other researchers found out that mindfulness practice could deactivate that switch of the default mode network, not just during the meditation or practice of mindfulness, but also in a resting state. But we have to practice to deactivate this default network, worrying about things over and over, the middle of the night. But the good thing is that the mindfulness practice does help us to kind of stop this default mode network and also come back, return to the object of attention, exactly what we did in the body scan practice. Our mind wanders, we notice without judging, and then returning, coming back. The repetition of this practice cultivates this awareness of mindfulness. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have showed this slide. So I was talking about the wandering mind and the default mode network. And the benefits of mindfulness practice. So these are the benefits that participants of the mindfulness-based stress reduction sent us after completing the program. And there are so many benefits, as you can see. Improve concentration, reduce symptoms of stress, improve mood and well-being, improve immune function, and there's so many other benefits. And I'd like to end my portion with this quote from Viktor Frankl. You know, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. There's so many stimulus. There's so much stimulus, you know, in our daily life, and we get activated and react to things. Even with a one email, you know, with negativity, sometimes we receive, right? Or the news, or things happening in our life, in our world. So much stress, you know, sources, and we tend to activate. We tend to react to these situations, and that adds more stress to our body, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. But if we take a moment to simply just recognize that there is a space where we can just recognize what's really happening, allowing things as they are, even if we don't like it, even if it's challenging. And in that space, we actually have a choice to respond instead of to react. You know? Respond with kindness. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. It gives us a freedom. So thank you very much for participating in the practice. And I'll stop my PowerPoints right here now.
Thank you so much, Noriko. That was wonderful. Now I'd like to welcome Corey Troyer and Julie Larson from the Movement Disorders Rehabilitation Team.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Let me go to share my screen. Okay. As Andrea said, my name is Corey Troyer, and I am a physical therapist here with UCSD. And today I have...
I'm Julie Larson, and I'm an occupational therapist here at UCSD.
And we are here to talk today a little bit about lifelong rehabilitation and exercise management of Parkinson's disease. And I know many of you probably know the benefits of exercise, but if Parkinson's is a new diagnosis for you, or you are new to your exercise journey, we would like to touch a little bit on why we want you to exercise and the reason behind it and how you can get started. So we know that exercise is important for everyone. For those with Parkinson's disease, it's very important and vital component to maintaining your balance, your mobility, and your activities of daily living. Research shows that exercise and physical activity can not only maintain and improve your mobility, flexibility, and balance, but it can also ease the non-motor Parkinson's symptoms such as depression and constipation. So how does exercise change the brain? It's through neuroprotection and neuroplasticity. Those are two terms that you've probably heard before. Neuroprotection is where your brain works to prevent the death of the neurons or the brain cells. For people with Parkinson's disease, exercise is vital to that action. There's been evidence in animal models with Parkinson's disease that has shown that intense exercise can alter the way that the brain works and promote that recovery. And we'll go into a little bit of the research here. So Fisher et al. Found that on a day-to-day basis, people with Parkinson's disease who exercised moved more normally than those who did not. Additional findings in her study were that mice that had exercised under conditions that were similar to a human treadmill found that the exercising did not necessarily affect the amount of dopamine in the brain, but the brain used the dopamine more efficiently and the dopamine signals actually lasted longer. We know that exercise can improve the efficiency by modifying the areas of the brain where the dopamine signals are received, which are the substantia nigra and the basal ganglia. In certain situations, the neuroplasticity created from exercise in people with Parkinson's disease may outweigh the effects of the neurodegeneration. In another study found by Gurecki, he did mice models, and in order to create the Parkinson's disease in mice models, we use MPTP, which is a neurotoxin that causes the loss of dopamine producing neurons in the same region of the brain. So that's how he makes his animal models. And he also found that exercise can be neuroprotective and that exercise reduces the loss of those dopamine producing neurons after exposure in the mice. 3 months of exercise provided complete protection against the MPTP-induced neurotoxicity in the mice. He noted that if running was limited to 1 to 2 months, or if the amount of running daily was decreased, then that protective effect of the exercise actually ended. So in summary, daily sustained exercise was necessary for full protection from that neurotoxic agent. Quickly, just a few more research studies. So there were 14 studies completed with treadmill training. 3 of them showed an immediate effect of increased walking speed, longer stride length, and improved balance as early as after 1 treadmill session. There were longer term studies in this trial that demonstrated safety and positive benefits in gait speed, stride length, and related quality of life even several weeks later. Another study completed by Alberts found that when people with Parkinson's pedaled on a stationary bike 35% faster than their preferred rate, they actually gained in not only aerobic fitness, but they showed improvement in motor function and coordination, as well as manual dexterity. This improvement was actually retained for weeks after the exercise stopped. So, types of training, which one is going to be the best fit for you? Well, the most important thing is that you find an exercise that you enjoy and that you can sustain regularly. As we know, as I just talked to you about, that's the most important thing in terms of those neuroprotective states. Before starting an exercise program, if it's new to you or your diagnosis is new to you, we usually do encourage you to see a skilled physical or occupational therapist who specializes in Parkinson's disease. That way you can get the best information and help maybe get you started on a plan that you can sustain or talk about various activities, and then also determine if you are experiencing any impairments that need to be addressed. There's also group exercise classes, as well as, independently exercising on your own. At the end of our presentation, I do have a slide with just some area resources here in case you are interested in group exercise classes. And just keep in mind that there is no exercise prescription that's going to be right for every single person with Parkinson's disease. The type of exercise you do depends on your individual symptoms, your challenges, and your preferences. So finding, again, what's going to be the most enjoyable to you is going to be the most beneficial.
And in the research, there's been an article, a meta-analysis on occupational therapy and Parkinson's disease and how it affects your quality of life. And in this article, they found that occupational therapy combined with PT and speech therapy led to statistically significant improvements in short-term and long-term follow-ups in mobility, balance, and independence in everyday life activities. The article also showed that the areas of most significant change was in mobility, your activities of daily living, cognition, emotional well-being, and communication.
So these are components of an effective exercise plan. So you want to make sure that you incorporate aerobic activities, strength training, balance, agility, and multitasking, along with stretching in your exercise program. Keep in mind that a lot of activities that people enjoy do comprise most of these things. So yoga, running, biking, Tai Chi, Pilates, anything like that is going to probably have multiple components depending on your class. The recommendation is going to be 150 minutes of exercise per week. And that's been researched and also recommended by various sources. So keep in mind that exercising may look different depending on your disease stage. So as your disease changes or progresses, your exercise might need to be modified and changed to meet you where you are.
So there are multiple ways that you can do your exercise. We don't want to just do exercises in one position like standing or sitting. You also want to challenge yourself to get onto all fours, your hands and your knees, laying on your stomach or laying on your back are important exercises to perform as well. And then there are the building blocks of function, which include anti-gravity extension, weight shifting, axial mobility, and transitions, which are the 4 components made up of our power move exercises.
All right, so here is the exercise resources here. So we host a virtual Parkinson's group class, usually with myself, sometimes with Julie, and sometimes with some other special guests. The link is there if you're interested. It's also online. There's also the Parkinson's Association of San Diego, which has a lot of exercises listed, and that link's kind of hard to see. But they include NeuroLab 360, which is in Encinitas, Rock Steady Boxing, which has various locations around San Diego, Dance for PD, and many more. So you can kind of find what you like. If you are a person that likes to exercise in the comfort of your own home, YouTube videos or the Parkinson's Foundation also has links available on YouTube. So I kind of put that there. And now we are going to move. So let us adjust our space, and hopefully you have some space to move with us at home. All right. All right, so we are going to do an exercise little snippet that incorporates those 4 different components. So we're going to do a warm-up, which is going to be cardio based, some skilled rotations that have balance, agility, and directional stepping, and then a cool down that has stretching. So follow along. Julie's sitting, I'm standing. Pick who you want to follow, and we will get started. So to start, we are just going to start by marching in place. 3, 2, 1, go. And if you have balance issues or difficulty maintaining your balance, again, sitting is a great option, but you could also challenge yourself by standing, touch your wall, have a chair nearby, something that you can hold on to. So we're already halfway through. We're going to do about 30-second intervals for all of our exercises today. Just because we're trying to cram a lot into a little bit of time. 3, 2, 1, rest. All right, so now we're resting. Our next move is going to be a starfish, going into a reverse starfish. 3, got enough room. 2, 1. All right, so out big and in. And if you can jump in standing, go ahead. If that's too hard, you can step out, step out. Pick your move. See if you can slap your hands into your thighs. 2, 1, rest. All right. Our next activity is going to be cross-body punches. 3, 2, 1, go. So punch across your body. If you are standing, and you can add in your hips and try to get a little bit more power, please do. If you feel like you can't do that, just punching, kind of rotating at the spine is good too. There's a modification for everything. 3, 2, 1, rest. All right, take a little break. Our next one is going to be a big step forward and arms coming out 3, and back. 2, 1, go. Here we go. We're gonna alternate feet. If you feel like we are moving too fast, move slower. If you feel like we aren't moving fast enough, then by all means move faster. 2, 1. All right, go ahead and take a little rest. And our last little aerobic activity is just going to be a cross kick. 3, 2, 1, go. If it's too hard to cross, you can just kick forward. If it's too hard to kick, tap your toe out in front of you. Halfway there. Halfway through. Not to kick Julie. Stay out of the way. 3, 2, 1. All right, catch your breath. We're going to move into some strength exercises. And again, I know we're moving quickly, but we're just trying to fit a lot in. 2. So we're going to work on heel raises. So going up onto your tiptoes and coming back down. Try to hold it for a few seconds. Again, holding onto a chair or a wall is fine. Just try to get up onto those tiptoes. Halfway there. Working your calf muscles. So again, this is an example of a strengthening exercise. 3, 2, 1, rest. Okay, our next strengthening exercise is going to be a squat. So you can just bend forward and stand up. You could do a sit to stand from the chair. You could do what Julie's doing and kind of just bending forward. You also don't have to go as deep if you have knee problems, but this is a very good strengthening exercise. Typically for strengthening, we want between 10 to 15 repetitions, and that can use your body weight. You can do, dumbbells, resistance bands, anything to add some additional resistance. The next thing we're going to do is for our posture. We're going to make W's. So really squeeze those shoulder blades together and hold for a second or two before you move into the next one. Halfway there. Good job. Feel those shoulder blades working. 2, 1. All right, take a little rest. The next thing we're going to do is move into a stepping. So we're going to step forward, sideways, and back, and then repeat that on the other foot. So again, this can be an example of, on that infographic, the weight shifting, multi-directional stepping in that third category. Let's alternate. Let's switch, I should say. All right, and take a break. Rest. Next one we're going to do is another strengthening exercise where you are going to push away and then pull towards you. 1. So be effortful, push and pull. Push and pull. Really work those shoulder blade muscles. Imagine yourself pushing something really heavy and pulling something really heavy.
3, 2, 1,
All
rest.
right, take a little rest. Next, we're going to move into some occupational therapy exercises. So I'll let Julie lead these ones.
So we're gonna focus on our wrist. You're gonna reach forward, lift your hands up, and then bring your hands down, up and down. After 2 more, we're gonna alternate one hand up, one hand down. Kind of like duck feet paddling in the water.
Three, 2, 1, rest.
Okay, and our next one, we're gonna work on maintaining our finger flexibility. So you're all probably familiar with big finger
3,
flicks.
2,
You're gonna start with a tight fist and then reach forward, extend your fingers like you're throwing something, and then bring them back. So reach out and throw, bring it back. These ones are great to do before any fine motor task. Using utensils in a restaurant, handling money at a store.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Right.
And our last one are some finger coordination exercises. The first one, we're gonna be counting on our fingers.
2, 1, go.
So you're gonna hold up both hands and you're gonna count one finger at a time. And then your other hand. Okay, then we'll close our hands and then we're gonna start again. 3, 4, 5,
Halfway there.
7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then our next one is alternating between an okay sign and a point. So, okay sign, point.
3,
And I'll try
2,
to do both
1, rest.
sides. Okay.
All right, good. Next, we're going to move into our cool down. So follow me. We are going to work on just bending over slowly and coming up nice and slow. And then you're going to reach and reach. So if you
Halfway there.
are familiar with us, you'll know that this is a power move. We're slowing it down, turning it into an active cool down.
3, 2,
And a
1,
step
rest.
and a step. All right.
3,
Next, we're going to move into some stretching. So I want you to put one foot out in front of you, keep that knee straight, and you're going to use this one. You're going to kind of lean forward. We're trying to stretch out the hamstrings. So for hamstrings, those can get really tight in people with Parkinson's disease. So it is something we want to make sure we keep, stretched and flexible. We usually want to hold 30 seconds up to 60 seconds, usually 30. Take a little rest, and then we will switch to the other side.
2, 1, go.
And again, the key with this one is trying to keep your pelvis straight, don't rotate out, and that knee straight. And this one's pretty effective in sitting. A little more challenging in standing.
Three, 2, 1, rest.
All right, and rest. The next one we're going to do is a calf stretch. So if you're able to stand up, please do and join me. This is going to be more effective. So the leg behind you, again, keep that knee straight. Try to keep your heel pressed to the floor. The other variation or alternative for this one is you would have that foot kind of forward on the wall, holding your toes pointed up, kind of pressing into the wall, again, trying to stretch the back of your lower leg. You could also do this sitting. If you have like a strap, you would just pull up on the toes.
1,
All right, we'll rest, and then we'll go into stretching our other leg.
3, 2, 1, go.
Lean into it again, make sure that leg is straight, the knee is straight, heel is down. You are doing this version. Again, people usually have pretty tight calves. It's another tight muscle. If you don't feel this stretch, then we might need to modify either the depth of your stance or how you are contacting the ground.
2, 1.
All right. And then our last one is for our posture. You can go ahead and have a seat, Julie. She's going to show you how to stretch your chest. So you're just going to lean forward, elbows out. Yep. And I don't know if you can still see me. Against a wall or in a corner, you're going to have your arms out in that same position and then kind of lean forward into it, head up, chest up. This is a good one for your posture. Another area where people get really tight with Parkinson's disease.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. You can kind of flip to our resources as well. And again, if you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the team, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And again, sorry that was fast. We were trying to get a lot in. All right. Thank you so much. We're right on time.
Thank you so much. That does conclude the webinar for today. We apologize for not having time for Q&A at the end, but you can always reach out to the team or email movementdisorders@ucsd.edu with your questions, and we'll make sure to get those answered for you. Oh, really quickly, Corey, could you show the resources again? And this will also be available, the recording online, so you can view them there too. That's okay. All right, we'll get those resources for you again, and thank you so much. We received some comments that this was very useful, and we appreciate that.
So these are the exercise resources. And again, the link for our sponsored class is on the Movement Disorder team website. And I can also email a link with these things to Andrea to maybe to blast out. And then we do have our research resources there. But my assumption is you guys wanted those ones.
Yeah, that's great. I can go ahead and send a follow-up email with these resources to everybody.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, thank you again, everybody. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. And
Bye. Thank you guys.
bye-bye.